Check, 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 check. Okay, let's see how that goes. Streaming, I'm recording. I think my mic's working okay. I know there's a lot of background noise, but we're gonna get started in a second. Anyone know how long it takes for Duco cement to dry? Let's see. That background noise is loud. Hey, Auntie Sarah. Oh boy. Okay, so as soon as I can actually hear, I'm going to get started here. Hey. Okay, so Facebook is in. Looks like YouTube. I see you guys on YouTube. If you type in here, the relay chat will carry it to Facebook, and Facebook will carry it to YouTube, and you know how that goes. Hey, Auntie Sarah, hey, happy Thanksgiving. Can't wait for some Kahlua turkey pretty soon coming up here. I'm doing good. We're got a new company going, just about to announce our new stuff. And right now, I think let's see, got the kids out there practicing in the big room. And let's see. I think that's everything. So let me get going. Okay, so welcome to dropping in at Pipeline Audio number 39. And if you see the title here on the restream titling, whatever, it's aiXDSP and multiband gate. And so for the last couple of months, we've been talking about a new company coming up. And I've been saying, I've been about to put out stuff I've been trying to get done for the last 20 years. Sorry, we got band playing out here. Let me go shut that door. Okay. So, sorry, as usual, there's going to be some background noise, so whatever. That's what happens when you're doing stuff in the real world and you got to test with real noises. So, a lot of the stuff that I meant to do ever since, honestly, since before we even started Reaper, just wanted to make life simpler, And a lot of what makes life difficult is drums. Really, it's how much time and how much effort and how painful is it to edit drums, mix drums, record drums. And you can see that Reaper was really, really, really drum centric in a lot of ways. And but I had a lot of other products that I wanted. I was hoping that we're going to be included in Reaper early on, but never really got in there. But basically, less mouse clicks, less pulling out your hair if you have any hair left, that kind of thing. So a couple months ago, I got a call from an old friend, and he wanted to start doing software, and to get done some of the stuff that I've been meaning to do a long time ago, and a lot of new stuff. A lot of things have changed. Lots of times, you think you think you're exactly what you want in the future, but as the future comes up to meet you, things change. So there's a lot of stuff from back then that I'm trying to do, but it's been modified by new things. You don't ever get too set in your ways, and we never thought Melodyne direct note access was ever going to happen, right? And it did. So anyway, so here's our new company, aiXDSP. And if you're wondering why it's not just called Pipeline Audio, I don't know, but that's okay. I guess anybody who really hates me, it's probably safer that way. Anyway, so we got so they got the first product coming out, and I allude to this one all the time. Especially toms. Toms are such a hard thing to record. Most of the time, there's two parts to it. Basically, the band will usually bring you a reference thing that's some really hard, slow hit toms. They just sound like gigantic cannons. And then when the band comes in and starts playing, it's just this like turkey gobbling toms, like, and it's just, it's really not going to make that sound. The other problem is, even with studio drummers, but for the most part with normal drummers, where they have the cymbals way too close to the toms, and they'll hit the cymbals all throughout the toms. If that big hyped tom sound, you got like some kind of exciter or just treble boosting, blasting thing to make that stick hit really hard. Well, that makes the cymbals jump out like crazy. It just turns the toms into an auxiliary cymbal mic. And if you got them gated normal, then that just means that whenever the toms get hit, the cymbals get this weird boost. I mean, you hear it with the kick, the snare drum and the hi-hat all the time as well. But really, toms, people will maybe keep their snares or whatever, but so many times for people, not that there's anything wrong with, and Glenn Fricker's going to freak out here, but not that there's anything wrong if you want to replace your toms with samples, fine. But my thing is, you shouldn't have to. If you don't want to, you shouldn't have to. And one of the reasons, that's just one of the things that always has to happen, because there's just no way to get good, clean tom hits. If you split up the sound of your toms, you've got the high end, the stick attack. That only lasts for a very short amount of time, and anything after that is just cymbal noise. And especially, after your toms get hit, the drummer will usually hit a cymbal, dung 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 dung, psh, and so it's just gonna be nasty nonsense. But at the same time, the part of the tom you really want, that low end, that dung, you want that to last, and you really can't do that with the normal noise gate, right? You got to pick. Are you gonna make it short enough that the cymbals don't make trouble? Or are you going to make it super long to get that thud through? And then probably you're just going to have to low pass the whole thing so that you won't end up with all that noise. So what I got here, and actually this, what we're looking at right here with this, if anybody who's watching, there's a video and it's a set of multi-tracks. You can actually go to our website at aiXDSP.com, and at the tutorial section, this is something you can actually download. It's a set of multi-track files and video where you can you can actually see what's being played, plus you can see the multi-track at the same time. So you can really tell, hey, what's he hitting? Which tom is he hitting? There's not going to be any questions. So I'm going to play a little bit of it here. Okay, so that's your classic example. Now, in this case, we've really got it mic'd in a way that there's a lot of good isolation. The cymbals are pretty far from the toms, and the drummer, don't tell him this, but he sort of knows what he's doing. But you can still hear that there's a cymbal at the end of the tom roll here. I'm gonna play this again. And excuse the skippiness on the video. That's from a whole bunch of different things going on at once here. But anyway. So I'm going to solo these toms here. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this last tom that gets hit here. So I've got spectrum view going on in Reaper. Let's see, is that the bottom tom? So I'm not sure if this is really going to ring. Let's see what we got here. That doesn't sound very good. Let's see. See if I can find a better floor tom hit. Okay, so you hear that real thumpy thump right there, right? So the trouble is, if I were to treat this the way you want that big giant, okay, 80s guys, whatever, one of those quiet riot toms right here. I'm going to loop this tom here. Boy, this is really a crappy hit. Let me check this one. There we go. Okay. Okay, so for one thing, there's a kick right after, which is probably not that bad, but there is a cymbal. Now, normally there'd be a cymbal right after the tom, not that kick first. Let me look for one more. Oh, this guy's just trying to make me work for it, huh? Let's see. Nope. 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 The trouble here is we've got a drummer who knows who's going to get yelled at if he records this in a way that's going to make it hard to work with. So, but that's not going to be your typical drummer. You're usually going to have a lot of trouble here. So I'm just going to use this as an example. This should work okay. Okay, pretend he doesn't hit that kick right afterwards. Let's just go for the first thing we're going to do. Let's see. Let's say we're going to put a compressor on here. And probably going to be an exciter. Let's start with the compressor here. Let's just go for like a typical old days kind of deal. So already you're kind of raising this level of the cymbal, the hi-hat. But let's say I really want to put that stick attack on here. So I'm going to put a high-end booster kind of thingy on here. Okay, so now I got all the stick attack I want. But now we got this nasty blasting cymbal mic, right? So what are we going to do about that? So normally you put a noise gate on there. And, you know, Regate was awesome for its time. I'm very, very, very proud of it. But let's see what happens with that. So if I do this, in fact, let's put it back in context. So I've unsoloed that tom. So now I've just got a short tom. Gross, right? So let's make this longer. Let's make it sound like, let's get some of that low end to keep ringing out, and let's see what happens now. So, sorry, anybody who's listening in stereo, you're going to hear like this weird image jump to the right, then jump kind of back towards the center. But even if you're listening in mono, you're going to hear like an auxiliary high cymbal mic that just jumps up and then kind of goes away. Let me play this back from even further back. Let's see. You hear that weirdness? It's just jumping around, right? So what are we going to do about that? So you really can't do either one with this gate. But let's really go back and listen to this tom. So there's a low component of that just keeps going. Hold on, I'm going to make that even longer. Okay, it's still rumbling on, but by then you probably want it gone. But that is I'm just going to measure this. See, minutes and seconds. Okay. So we basically have a 3 seconds of low end going by. Probably wouldn't want to use that much, but you know, it's a far cry from the quarter of a second that you'd usually be holding that gate open for. Now, but for the high end, I mean, it's pretty much just the attack portion. So what are we looking at? 50 milliseconds maybe at the most. So these are drastically different things, mutually incompatible things that we're asking their gate to do. We want it to shut right away so the cymbals don't bother you. But we want it to last really long so we can get the low end going. Well, that's no good. So that's why we have this first product here, the multi-band gate. So let me pull this up. And it's a very generically named multi-band gate. You know, I love the generic stuff. You ever go to the PX on a military base and you just see the bag that says rice? It's just a white bag with the black letters, or dog food. It's just like a white can with black letters of dog food on it. You know, this is a multi-band gate. So first of all, for you guys who aren't watching, I'm going to come in from the top here. I'm going to re-solo the this drum while I talk. So first thing you're going to see, there's a crossover network, a spectrum display. It's going to show you what's coming in. You can see here. I'm going to actually switch the spectrum so you can see before anything happens. So you got a real good idea of what the original frequency content is, and you can actually see by looking at it how long each part lasts. So I'm going to specifically look at the lows. So you can see that there's a chunk. It's actually well under 100 hertz that that lasts for very long. So I'm going to set the crossover point between the mid and the high, or sorry, between the lows and the mids around 100 hertz. I'm going to see what happens here. Like 120 hertz. Okay. I could actually set that a lot lower. Okay, and then I actually got solo buttons for this, so I'm going to listen to what that low is doing. Okay, so that's really subsonic. But I really want that stick smack too, so I want to find that. So I'm going to solo the high band. You know, you could debate over where to go here. I'm kind of getting a little bit of the note of the tom in here, but you can hear right away. After that, it just turns nasty with treble. Okay, so here's my crossover bands are pretty good. I'm going to look at the mid band. I might even be turning this off. It's just kind of mud and noise, but I'm going to deal with that in a second. The bottom window here is the threshold window, so I'm going to set that. So let's see what we got for information. So really, you want, just like any other gate, you want the spikiest signal to tell you when to open and when to close the gate. Now, by looking at the spectrum, you would often think, hey, you know, this is the resonant frequency of this tom is like 80 hertz or whatever, so I'm going to tell the detector to listen to 80 hertz. And there is a detector here, so I'm gonna turn in the key listen button, which just listens to what the detector's hearing. You've got another set of you can either use a side chain or just the input track, but you can use a high pass and a low pass filter on it. So let's try and find a spiky section of this gate. So if I were to set it to the resonant frequency, so I'm going to turn the low pass way down around 100 hertz. The trouble is, if you can see it, there's no real spike, but it lasts a very long time, so it doesn't really want to close. So really, if I can get a thwack to open it, I'm gonna. And so I'm gonna look for a thwack. And that's gonna be hard to find, but and the trouble is, there's so much other stuff that sounds just like that around that same frequency range. So I really got to find a spot that's just that tom. And there is a second harmonic of this tom, or maybe it's like the third or fourth or whatever. But there is a harmonic of this tom that's really that's really loud. So I'm gonna try it on there. And now I see a spike. It's not perfect, but there is a pretty good spike here. So I'm going to turn off the key filter. So now I'm going to turn on the threshold. Okay, now you hear that nice short gate, right? So here's where this thing really comes into its own. So first of all, I'm going to solo the low band. And for those who can't see, there's an actual envelope line that traces the gates opening and hold and closing as the signal goes through it. And here's where you can really visually set the gate timing to exactly what you want to hear. So as I play this, I'm going to make the hold and the release a lot longer. I'm going to make it last as long as we want that thud to play. And you hear kind of a second ring. That's unfortunate. I may do that with the release instead of the hold. So in this case, there's probably not much to do with it, but I am setting a second of release and almost 500 milliseconds of hold. So instead of that real short like we were doing here, or how would we do that? Get rid of the symbol. Instead of that, this gate's going to let it roll for a while. Hear that? Boom. Okay, so now I'm going to listen to the mid band. You know, that's not quite in the cymbal range. It's probably going to make some trouble, but I'm gonna let it ring a little bit. It's probably going to be noisy, but it might be okay. So I'm changing the hold and the release time, and I'm actually tailoring it to the window of the sound we're hearing, of the attack and the release. Okay, so I'm going to go to the high end. So this is where it's critical. If I make this too long, watch, I'm going to make this really long. Then it just becomes a cymbal mic, right? But I really only need it for the shortest amount of time. And you can actually visually set it here. So hold on, I'm going to set the release all the way off. And I'm going to start pulling back on the hold until it's just the stick hit. See, it's almost a white noise burst at this point, right? But I'm going to add some release so that it sounds okay. I'm just looking to get rid of gate chatter at this point. Okay, so now let me put these back together. I'm going to unsolo the high band. I'm going to bring the crossover for the lows up a little bit. Move it up in frequency. Okay, so now I've got the highs as loud as I want them, as long as I want it. I could even add a lot more treble boosting stuff. I could probably ditch the mid. So there's actually a band volume on each crossover, and that happens after the gate. So you can use that kind of as an EQ. Like, I'm going to scoop out the mids, or I could turn up the highs. So let me put this in context now. So now I have the lows of the tom as long as I want it. I have the highs of the tom as long as I want it. I can boost it all the treble I want. It's not going to hurt anything. And I can make some EQ adjustments just with the band volumes here. It wasn't really meant to be an EQ, but that's how it's shaken out here. And so if it starts getting lost in the mix, let me pull up I'm going to unsolo these toms here. And see, now when that tom gets hit, there's no more giant cymbal weirdness where it kind of it throws off the stereo image and it makes like a weird boost on it. Let me I'm just going to play the overheads and the toms here. That's just the overheads. So I can have that tom as loud as I want. And it's not messing up the cymbals. And of course, the other one you guys are always dealing with, right, is snare and hi-hat. Let's see what we got there. Okay, I'm just going to copy all the same things over the snare. So let's listen to snare track and the hi-hat. This is your typical fight that you're always going to have, right? So again, if I put a compressor on the snare, all I'm doing is turning up the hi-hat, right? And if I put that snap in the snare that I want, let's see what it does to the hi-hat. So now I got an auxiliary hi-hat mic. Let's see what happens if he plays faster too. Okay, so our snare's all messed up now. And again, if I put in a short gate, well, that's gross. If I make it long, like we usually did, 75 hold and 250 release, you know, typical kind of gate setting. And it just makes that gross splat sound from the hi-hat, right? Yuck. So, let's do this exact same thing. So I'm going to do multi-band gate again. Let's see if we can find out what's a good detector frequency for the snare. So first I'm going to listen to that. So I'm in key listen mode. So again, there's like a harmonic that happens pretty close to the fundamental. I think that's good. I'm hoping the kick drum doesn't fire it, but I think it's okay. So somewhere around 220 hertz. Okay, so I'm gonna zero out all the gates. I'm gonna take key listen off. So now we're hearing the snare signal again. Let's listen to a different part. So I'm going to solo the low band. I'm going to try it here after that second harmonic or whatever. That's what actually is opening the gate. That's going to be my low band. Oh yeah, all the note I'm going to put in the mid. And I'm gonna, that's what I'm using for the mid right there. And then so the high, there's a little bit of note here, but I really just want this to be the snap here. So I'm going to make this the high at about, it says 1033 hertz. Okay, so I'm going to unsolo this. So there's the whole signal. I'm going to bring up the threshold control. Okay, so now we got chatter. Let's make the high end as long as we want, so. Okay. Okay, I'm going to let the lows ring for a while, so let's see what's going to happen here. Okay, and I'm going to let the mids ring for as long as I want that note to last. But see, I still don't have the problem with the cymbals, right? Here, like I'm going to bypass the high band. And you could make this a lot mellower. I'm kind of being a little bit radical with this. Okay, let me put this in with the overheads. So without it, so now the snare mic is just accenting every time that snare is hit, right? It's still got enough ring in it, but it's not becoming an auxiliary hi-hat mic. It's not bursting every time the cymbal hits. And I'm able to add as much treble boosting nonsense as I want. Look, I'm just going to make the crazy trap out of the exciter plugin. Now, where I do that with the regular gate, watch. You hear that gross psh, psh, just like this gross spit every time. Psh, psh. So here's the multiband gate. So you should be able to just about dial in the perfect amount of whatever you wanted that particular mic to be. Whatever, it kind of lets you go back to this idea that your overheads or your rooms are your real drum mics, and that these individual mics are just for accents, and you can use them for whatever it is that you wanted to use them for. Anyhow, so let me unsolo this. Let's see, get these toms back in. So anyway, you want to check out our new company, you want to support the work I've been doing for years and years and years and years, and you never really had a way to do that before, go check out aiXDSP. And you know, if you want these tutorial files, just go to our tutorial page. But you will find multiband gate up there. So go have a look, and I'll see you guys next week, and I'll be talking to you about this as we go through this. And you know, go check out Brandon Hires made a really nice video showing the gate as well. So we're going to speak a lot more about this in a little while, but this is just a quick introduction, and I'll see you guys later.